series. We're getting ready to jump into it. It's going to be Haven. And on the defense to kick things off, it's going to be Immortals. We'll see if they have what it takes to stop the juggernaut that has been TSM.
And already, this is looking like a fairly quick start as they do make their way through towards the sewers. The defense already actually rotating quite heavily. You see a lot of them just roaming around in the spawn as they try to make the decision of where they're going to be going. Genghsta sat there with the shock darts and the rest of the squad making the rotation in. The flash comes through as the push into the site, and the smokes will go down from the brimstone, just making things a little bit awkward for the remaining players. And in fact, this is already turning into a retake. The site belongs to TSM.
Quick take coming in from TSM. Locks Immortals out of the site. But everyone's here and ready for a retake. We've already got Dicey just up in heaven, taking shots from the shock dart. Flash around the corner doesn't work out. This is a fantastic retake coming in from Immortals. It's down to just one. It's the Brim. Locked behind the smoke. Hazed goes down a flawless round after losing control of the site. That is not exactly what you would expect to see, given the way that TSM got site control so easily.
Jesus. I'm actually kind of blown away by that. That was ridiculous. Like, 5v5 retakes are normally, especially on the A site, I would say, because the A site's so closed off. Like, sure, there's a lot of angles to retake from, but if you come in just from your side of the map without any real flanks, you should be losing bodies. Like, it definitely shouldn't be as easy as that. They clear out everybody in a matter of seconds, and hey, that was fantastic.
Love what we see thus far from Immortals. Recon Dart's going to go out early. That gives away the position of Koler, who throws a camera down into short, but the body's right now building up outside of garage doors. And that's where Asuna's going to lock things down. He's got the SMG, hot hands to go in and throw to try and keep them at bay. And look how well it's working out. Subroza wanders into the flames and loses his life as a result. The shot's finally going to connect, but it was after a 3K already came through for Asuna. Hayes picks him off with the classic. And now he's going to take some shots of his own through the wall from the Bulldog. It's down to 44 HP for him. The Cypher currently over in mid. That's Koler. Can the two vets try to fight their way out of this one?
At a minimum, they want to try and make this a little bit more costly, but Jcstani just going to close things out. Only one man lost, but we do know that there is going to be an investment into this next round for TSM. So that was all about just doing a little bit of extra damage. You can see straight away, oh, it's actually going to be a change of plan. Wardell buys the operator almost instantly, but maybe realizing he wants a little bit of extra utility or even just the armor that goes behind it. Instead, it's not quite going to be the same investment, maybe, that I would have expected.
This third round can be so awkward for both teams. The team that wins the pistol in the second round is carrying some utility and equipment coming in from previous rounds. And the team that lost the pistol and the eco, coming in, spending every penny, and sometimes not even guaranteeing a full kit. This is a conversation I had with Shinobi. The economy early on is a bit punishing, sometimes for both sides. But here it does kind of feel like TSM not really in the greatest spot. You can already see some of that equipment, the utility not there for some of these players. Subroza's on light armor, doesn't have a flame wall. We'll see how it affects them as they start moving over towards Long C. You've got Koler, who's here with a Bulldog. He's got some of his utility over in mid, so he's only got a little bit on the site. They're starting to move their way up. Koler is going to be pressured here. He's got support coming from Asuna, who's over in garage, but there's no trip on longs. They've managed to make it up long. Koler goes for the jump peek, spots him. Now he's got to be careful. There's the tripwire going down. Through the cyber cage, they go with the flash. Flawless play coming in from TSM to take control of the site. Asuna's got to do a little bit to help, but he's too far into the garage to really do much. Subroza's going to find one more as well through the smoke. That is brutal, and that's going to make the retake that much harder for Immortals.
Looks like he wants a little bit more. Doesn't have any utility left, but he's just going to be waiting on the edge of this smoke. Flames down on the floor, and an easy kill onto Dicey's as well. This round is looking all but done, but for the defenders, it is worth trying to retrieve maybe a weapon or two. Peek out from Subroza. I have to say, the idea of him playing Phoenix definitely excites me a little more than what we've seen on the Brimstone, mainly just because he does play that entry fragger role so well. Of course, we have seen maybe a piece or two missing from Jerome since he switched, but I think overall this comp could work better for TSM in the long run.
So here's the irony of that. When Drone first switched to the Phoenix, I was like, oh, I'm kind of miss him playing the Sova, because during the beta stages, Drone played Sova really well. He was one of the first players I saw got a double shock dart kill on U-Haul on Bind by just firing 2 shots into the air, timing them and splitting them apart perfectly, so both darts land simultaneously. So if you're sitting outside U-Haul, they both land, you're dead. Nothing you can do about it. It's wild, yeah. He's got a big brain for that kind of stuff. So I like seeing him go back to the Sova, but in part of me does miss that level of engagement we saw from Drone playing as the Phoenix, but I do ultimately think this is for the best. It's been a bit interesting, though, that they continue to put a Brim in play over an Omen. Kind of wonder if that's another piece that's going to change. Who knows? This team constantly changing their agent compositions and swapping roles around just a bit. The only one that seems to be somewhat static is Wardell, carrying the op and typically playing that Jet, sometimes swapping over to the Sova. Originally started as the stage during the beta phase. There's the hot hands down the smokes in as well. The B site free and clear for them as that pushed off the only B side defender, so TSM is going to have access to the site for a free spike plan.
They've done a good job at finding the holes in the defense over the last few rounds. The smoke's going to fade, Subroza's holding. First one's all too easy. The curveball around the corner to leave anybody else blind. And a second for him already, seeming on form today. There is, however, a trade back to keep it into a 3 versus 4. No ultimates available for anybody except the dead Subroza, so this should be a relatively easy cleanup. And Hazed is going to mow down all 3. Scoreline equalized, the early start from Immortals is gone, and I imagine their finances are in a similar spot.
What's wild is right now, it's 2 rounds in a row, but the only players who got on the scoreboard in that time were Subroza and Hazed. 10 kills for the 2 of them. Koler, Drone, and Wardell have yet to crack that egg. So typically people talk about Drone and Wardell when you talk about this team. Obviously Subroza's in the mix as well, but Hazed and Koler are usually the 2 that get neglected when it comes down to performance. Hazed typically playing more of a support role, especially in the past when he was playing the Sage, excuse me. But Koler playing the B-side anchor, his stats are always going to be a little bit rough because of that. But here it's all Hazed and big boy Subroza. You've seen putting in numbers as he's been privy to do in the past for this team. The Owl Drone's going to go into the B site, looking to spot one out, doesn't find one initially. Right now it does look like they're just kind of sitting back on their haunches, knowing that the buy coming in from Immortals isn't going to be fantastic. They don't want to overextend and play into a trap setup with shorties and sheriffs. There's only one currently playing A-side defense as well. It's Dicey, who's over towards spawn, so it's a bit of a soft A-side defense. He'll get some support from the Sova, but it's going to be difficult for them to hold, given the firepower that's coming their direction. But look at the read. Immortals is already starting to rotate her over. Everyone is coming towards this A-side. This could work out nicely for them.
I think that's a lot of information just spotted as well, but I think the push has already begun, so it looks like TSM are going to continue this. They don't really need to, and there we go, okay. I like to see it. There was so much information gained from the run it back as he pushed through the flames. Just before he fades back into the background, you see Subroza spot at least 2 or 3 players. So he's now going to lurk around and actually hand a rifle over. Now the spike will easily be planted, and any traps on the other side of the map aren't going to be destroyed. Information is at least gathered from the ultimate coming out from Omen, but it doesn't really matter. They've got the afterplant positions. We'll see if they can do any extra damage, especially with that extra rifle.
Yeah, the ult came through, but he didn't see them. He only heard them. He knew they were making their way onto the site. Then the spike gets planted momentarily thereafter. Nice bait peek coming out. Wardell actually doesn't jump back, just jumps in position. Manages to survive for just a bit. There's players backing him up right around the corner, and that's Koler to get onto the scoreboard here. The last remaining target is going to be Genghsta, who's in spawn right now with the Phantom that was picked up off the body of Subroza. Subroza's play was to make sure they don't rotate out. So even though, yeah, he gives away that rifle, he gives it to them. He's just there to make sure, okay, have they rotated out yet? And maybe he takes 1 or 2 with them as they try to escape the site. It's exactly what ends up happening outside of him taking one with him. He spots them on the rotate, can call it out for the team. The ult gives the intel, but it didn't matter at that point. The site was already lost. The round was pretty much over before they even got into their own spawn. So it's 3 rounds now in a row for TSM. Immortals have a big buy coming in. A lot of pressure on them here as they put the op back into play.
Subroza, of course, using the run it back in the previous round. And I imagine he kind of wishes he had it here. Diceyzx will kick things off with the operator. Of course, the ability of the Jet to escape afterwards is always going to be valuable. And now Drone is going to clear out Garage as well, just activating all the tripwires as he goes and make things a little bit easier for them to at least gain some map control.
Heavy presence over towards C currently. You've got Phoenix, Jet, Cypher, and Omen all on that side of the map. The defense certainly lopsided right now. The Sova is the only one playing over towards A. Koler is here as the Cypher back towards the logs. Right now we might see the take come through as they're starting to put some presence in garage. You can see a body over on long as well. But right now it's just Drone who's pushed all the way up, and he's starting to walk his way in towards the site. You've got the Jet positioned on the other side of the door, holding with an op, and they're holding in the site as well. This is going to be a difficult take for TSM, given the sheer presence coming in from Immortals on the site. There's the ult being popped from 2. It was Asuna to pop his. As the orbital strike came through, Dicey's going to get 1. But then it's 2 kills coming in from TSM by way of Wardell and 1 other. Asuna tries to go through the cyber cage with the ult. Doesn't work out so well. Ult's being popped on both sides by the Jet. The knive's going to come out. Wardell switches back to the op, though. There's the high-flying moves from Dicey, but it doesn't matter. Wardell just doesn't miss. Hazed will get the last one on the round. It's 4 in a row for TSM.
And that was a really sick take from them as well. As you mentioned, there was a really good read for a second time in a row now from Immortals, where they basically had all their players in the right place at the right time, and they still couldn't do anything versus the sheer force that is TSM. The thing as well, the orbital strike made things really awkward, because I think Asuna actually popped his ultimate just to keep himself alive. It basically meant that it was just the run it back that takes some damage, and then because he survives in that, later on, he just teleports back to his initial spot. Unfortunately, it still pretty much separated the whole team and their setup. So very good use of that. And once again, we're just going to see some pistols invested into in this round. I have really been liking the aggressive stacks and pushes that we have seen coming out of Immortals, and this should net them. They've used both flashes just to try and catch up Wardell. How is he still alive? It's the saving grace that seems to be Cutler. He kept him going in this round, and that will be a 5-2 and a clean one at that.
TSM continue to pile on the rounds as Immortals has stalled out just a bit. Big Daddy Hazed currently at the top of the scoreboard. 10-2 performance coming in from the Brim. My man is feeling it right now, and the opposite side, they're struggling to find a method to contain him. Drone, who's typically in contention at the top of the scoreboard, still sitting on 0 kills, but it doesn't really matter. The rest of the team is currently lifting that load. We'll see if this is the round where he cracks that egg. Hazed again, picking off Dicey's over on the C site. Hazed is taking that long-range engagement. That's how confident he is currently. You've got Genghsta now starting to rotate over. There's Wardell picking one off with the operator as well. Drone quickly takes care of Genghsta. Great curveball coming through into Akon. Hot Hands goes down, and Jcstani is going to take a lot of damage from that one. Chip down to 79 HP, goes for the peak. Subroza's just too woke. It's down to 1 and 1 only. It'll be Koler as the Cypher over on the C site, stuck in garage currently, trying to save his weapon as it's a 1-on-5. 3 ults available as well for the attack.
This was a buy round. They've just been slammed like it was absolutely nothing. Like I came into this one with things being promising, a good start from Immortals, and then so far all I've seen is just some very aggressive plays from TSM, taking individual fights and pretty much winning every single one. And well, the thing as well is it's Hazed seemingly playing a little bit more of an aggressive role than we normally see. He's 12-2. He's one of the veterans that have come out of CS, and I don't think it will be harsh to say that I didn't expect this going into the day. I didn't expect him to be the one just smashing Immortals into the ground, but that's exactly what he's doing.
The first time I ever hosted a desk in CS, Hazed was my analyst. And I could tell by talking to this man, he just had a big brain when it came to first-person shooters. Unfortunately, it makes it an easy target as Asuna picks him off. So that brain may be a little bit too big, but it doesn't matter. In that meantime, they've managed to gain control of the B site. So while Hazed may have died, his sacrifice may be worth it as they've gained access to the site with almost no resistance. All 4 players on that B site. As I say that, one gets picked off by Jcstani with the Sheriff. The back and forth duel goes both directions. Both Sovas popping ults. You can see the pulses coming out from the Hunter's Fury. It's not going to do much. It does come down to 2 on the defense as Dicey is trying to get back in with the Sheriff. There's one over towards Akon. That's the Sova. Dicey now moving into position, taken down, but Genghsta's found one in the meantime. Shot comes out from Wardell. 7-2, TSM continue to pile on rounds. Yeah, sure, they lost their top fragger to kick things off, but it didn't make a difference.
Yeah, that was, again, a good round, I guess, in isolation if you're looking at Immortals, because they managed to do quite a lot of damage overall. But realistically, it's still another round, and at this point, it doesn't matter so much. I don't think TSM are going to be worried about losing a few personnel along the way. They're 7-2 up, and they're doing a lot of it by sheer brute force. And I imagine that's going to happen again, because just look how many ultimates they have at this point. They have the run it back, which just makes Subroza even more terrifying than he is normally. And, well, Wardell is already going to get that opening pick. Asuna is gone. And while Jcstani's trying to find a way back into this round with a little bit more aggression, but ultimately, the rest of the team are going back.
Tripwire destroyed.
There's the run it back ult being popped by the Phoenix. Through barrage he goes. Oh, that's a big miss from Dicey. Has to be careful as the pulses are coming out from drone as well. There's the orbital strike being sent out onto the site. And it results in a 3-on-3. Wardell, nice shot straight to the belly of Jcstani. Follow-up not going to be where it needs to be. They have not yet gotten the spike down as it's chaos on the site. We do have Genghsta here in a 1-on-3 as TSM guarantees the spike plant and sets up for the post.
3-on-1, and well, the 1 is gone very quickly indeed. It is going to be Drone to finish off his trifecta. An 8-2 scoreline. TSM looking formidable on this attacking side. In fact, it's only been the pistol and second round, which I guess the second round you normally give as a freebie. That will set them up very nicely going forward. Like, I'm almost in doubt that there's any way that the Immortals can bring it back. Of course, if they can get the last couple of rounds, then maybe I'll start to be a little bit of a believer. But I'll be honest, Boq, at this point, I'm one of the haters, I think. I might have to join in with that Reddit thread.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. Immortals look so good up until this match. They looked really good. They really did. They played so well at times. When they play on Bind, if they play on Bind at this point, you'll get to see what we got to see yesterday. And their Ascent also not something to shrug off. I think there's still an opportunity here, but with TSM playing the way they're playing right now, confidence is overflowing, and you can see it in the way that Subroza just easily takes that B site. Nothing can be done to stop this. Asuna's going to try and charge in there, does the best that he can with the ult. The spike was going to be planted, curveball going down. Wardell says, that's cute and all, but I'm here. It's Dicey in the 1-on-3, picks off the first target. That's Wardell. His counterpart goes with the updraft on top of the big box, drops down, spots the barrel of Subroza, and now it's down to the 1-on-1. He's also got the ult, but there's the so difficult to deal with Molly coming in from the brim. As Dicey goes through the smoke to dodge around it, doesn't realize that Hazed, again, with that 500 IQ flank coming in on the backside of this play, continues to focus the wrong direction, and Hazed is there with a tactical crouch to close things out. 9 rounds for TSM.
Yeah, he's definitely got that 5 head. Like, it's busting at the seams at this point. The Molotov may not have necessarily connected, but it was all just a distraction to almost like play with his opponent's mind. Still sat at the top of the board. Like, Wardell's having to compete to get past Hazed at this point with some crazy frags in the last round. And Subroza, well, he's been doing his job as the entry fragger. 9-2. Immortals yet to show up in this series, and well, they might not have too much of a chance on Haven if it keeps going in this direction. Now we're going to see the push into the B site once again by the looks of it, and I don't really see why not. There's 3 ultimates on the other side, but realistically 2 of them only gain information. That's what you can expect from both Omen and the Cypher, and well, Omen's already dead, so there won't be a chance to use it. We are going to see the Blaze Storm popped, and well, there's another one on the other side, and Wardell's just done it slightly better. Subroza closes the round, And I'll be honest, Boq, that's one of the most dominant halves I think I've ever seen in Valorant.
I mean, we've seen dominant halves. We've seen dominant halves even in this event, depending on the map, obviously. We watched a dominant half on Bind earlier in this event. I think it was Faze playing against... Oh, man, who was it at the time? They lost the first half 12-0. I think it was Sentinels. Faze Sentinels. Sentinels looked oh so incredibly good. But even at that, there was still a slight comeback. Obviously, they didn't win the map. Faze got beaten down by Sentinels still in the end. But I think it was like 13-5 or 13-6. So 10-2 may seem like it's insurmountable, but it's certainly recoverable. And if Immortals can get the ball rolling and they can pick up some of that confidence, you'll start to see that come out. Again, we talked about it. You have some of these young players. Maybe it's hard for them to reset. Maybe it's hard for them to take some of those bumps and bruises early at the hands of a team like TSM. But we'll see if that's going to be the case here as they switch sides. Dicey leading the charge as they push on A. This could be a problem. Look at the curveball coming out. That is brutal as TSM punishes on the push. As great as their pistol round was in the first half, TSM tries to match it. And it's down to just one on Immortal's side. Drone's going to get the 4K on the round. Again, a silent performer in the first act, but turns things around after the intermission by picking up a huge pistol round 4K.
I've got a question for you, Boq. Do you still believe?
I mean, you know what? I always want to believe. I always want to be optimistic, but let's be real.
If you start a sentence with that means no.
You know what? When someone says to me, "Do you think Tombizz is good looking?" I usually go, "Ah."
That's fair. I don't mind if you don't think I'm good looking.
Hey,
you're
Tom,
not
we're
my
basically
target
twins
audience.
with the bald heads. We're fine, so it's okay.
There's self-depreciative jokes, is basically what I'm saying. Okay, this will be a time to wake up. Asuna's come in with the Sheriff and found a couple of kills. It's going to give them the spike plant as well. And in fact, more importantly, diceyzx has himself a rifle.
Nice shooting as well, coming in from the pistols, but Hazed again trying to stomp that one out. This is a promising look from Immortals. Wardell coming through with the judge. Long range, not able to pick up that first target, but it's Hazed again, still battling it out with the Bulldog. He's found 3 on the round, and now it's all up to Koler. He's spamming, looking for the lineup with the Sheriff. Goes for the fresh mag, not going to work out so well for him. Hazed finding 4 on the round. 12 now on the board for TSM, just on the brink of closing things out.
Hazed is destroying them. He's 19-3. He's making Wardell look average. I don't think I'd ever thought I'd say the day that someone's making Wardell look average, but Hazed is just destroying them. That's another round where you look at it and go, okay, TSM probably shouldn't have won that one. Like, that was at least like a, what, 2v3, 2v4 that they managed to bring back with him getting 4 of the kills. So, yeah, an incredible performance from Hazed. One that I think is going to bring his whole squad up in this map especially. And well, now it comes down to this. Immortals have to fight it back from here. 10 rounds in a row needed to take it to overtime. And, well, already the curveball does leave Asuna completely blind. However, Genghsta's found the opener, and the flames back and forth. He escapes. I'm surprised by that. The blaze used to block him out. They do continue this push forward, and Asuna, it seems like he's had enough. That's a couple of rounds now where he's got the entries into this B-side. He's lurking in the backlines. It's close, but this time he will be stopped. And it's left all onto Cutler. It would be one hell of a way to end the match as he almost manages to get a second kill. They're left completely blind by the curveball, but he'll get the second nonetheless. And the remaining players are desperately low. There's a real chance that Cutler will do this, but they are now with the knowledge of exactly where he is. The recon bolt gives everything away, and he's still unaware of at least where one of the remaining players is. He's seen where all of the utility's coming from, but the main problem is, could the jet have moved off the spike plant? And he's just having to clear absolutely everything. He gets one through the wall. Not quite enough, though. That was ridiculously close from Cutler, and a nice attempt in the 1 versus 4.
Dicey barely survives that round with just a little bit of HP left. Very well played from Cutler, but, like, only so much can be done. You know what's crazy, though? Drone was what, like 0-5 at one point? He's 12-8 now. So that's just like an absurd turnaround, because at one point he really wasn't having to do anything. The rest of his team was doing all the dirty work, and one of those players, like you said, Hazed, 19-4 performance from him, 15-6 from Wardell. So the save is going to come in here from the defense. Watch out for that pocket shorty.
Get out of my way.
As Wardell has picked it up as the Jet is going to go ahead and pop the ult as well. Doesn't need a gun if he's got the blades out. Asuna running it back onto the C site. Hazed taken out inside the smoke. Asuna's going to continue the advance towards the B site. Doesn't necessarily get far enough out. There's the Hunter's Fury firing off towards the C site. But the spike will still be planted in just a moment. It's going to be a 4-on-4, but you've still got Wardell ready with the knives out to slice and dice Immortals into millions of tiny little pieces. Smoke goes down on long, and now it's up to him and Subroza coming through from Garage to try to make the difference. Subroza taken out quickly. There's Wardell, though, with the knives. Not able to do much. Asuna's found 4 on the round. You know he wants the ace, and it's down to him in the 1v1 against Drone. He's got to be careful. The aim shaken. But he's backing off as he understands the spike is planted for him. Drone right around the corner, and there it is, the ace coming in for Asuna. A big round from Immortals.
That's what we wanted to see. And over the last few rounds, he has had a mad turnaround. I look at the scoreboard now. He's now joint second overall. And more importantly, these aren't passive frags either. Like, you can definitely see players at times where you go, okay, maybe they've got like 15, 20 kills, but I don't really feel like they've been massively impactful, like low HP players. This is him running first into sites, taking duels and winning them, and then still being alive at the end to ace it. An incredible round from him. Maybe it can bring some life into the squad. Of course, the main issue I have is maybe this can at least gain them some confidence going into the next map. To bring this back would be one hell of a task, but that is a way to get the blood pumping.
Again, we talked about it. Confidence is going to be huge for these younger players. Get them kind of playing at a level they're used to. And while I love watching Asuna as the Phoenix, his range play is really what I look forward to. Hopefully we'll get to see it as this best of 3 progresses. There's the quick shot coming out from Dicey, taking out Drone. A peek coming in from Koler for some pretty success. Nice curveball, but there's too many bodies around the corner, and the A side defense has been leveled. Should be another round coming in from Immortals, barring a miracle from Wardell.
He's performed them in the past, but unfortunately, well, the gun he's currently holding doesn't have enough bullets to kill everybody in one clip. He's going to go pushing. Almost gets 2. I was rooting for him for the second, but it will be Jcstani to give them at least a 5th on the board. But this is where things will get a little bit more interesting. The operator comes out straight away for Wardell, and he's still looking to try and catch up to Hazed, sat at the top of the scoreboard. And this will pretty much be everything they need going into this round. So if it continues to be the same sort of train that we've just witnessed from Immortals, then maybe my belief can be swayed at least a little. But this will be their first real test.
Faze and Stellar, either Genghsta's on light armor. Subroza, pop and run it back, charging through short. Here comes the ult as well from Asuna over on the C side. Feels like it wasn't that long ago that he did this before. There's one inside the dark cover. That'll be Hazed as the ult gets popped as well. Hazed finds 2. First, it's the ult to take down Asuna, where he popped his run it back, and a follow-up with the rifle. Wardell getting one with the off as well over on C. And it all falls down onto 2 as Koler, trying to do what he can, picks off Subroza. But there's a target holding down the flank of Koler. Koler has to be careful not to overextend, but in that time, it doesn't matter. Wardell with the peek onto Dicey, puts everything onto Koler's back. A 1-on-4. Fighting for map number 1. Koler gets a nice shot onto Koler, but it's likely to end here as Wardell hits one through the wall. Take a seat, Immortals. TSM takes map